The SuperBook podcast is back in your life, and we will never blow a fourth quarter lead. Ron Kruk joined by the men behind the counters at the SuperBook at the Westgate in Las Vegas. Veteran odds makers and best in the business, Jay Kornegay and John Murray. Guys, another crazy, unpredictable weekend in the NFL. Let's get right to it. It seemed like the favorites were going to come in and were in control, and then some late swings changed everything. 4 underdogs covered in Dallas, Vegas, Baltimore, Cleveland. Jay, how'd the SuperBook fare this past weekend?
Overall, it was a great weekend, both Saturday and Sunday. You were talking about Sunday when a couple of those games, like Falcons coming back, having that late cover against the Rams was a huge game for us. I mean, the Cardinals obviously coming back and beating the Raiders outright was a huge win. But can't forget about those Cowboys. The Cowboys win over Cincinnati, another big win for the book. And Saturday was pretty good as well. We had one of the biggest games of the day was Notre Dame and California. And with Notre Dame failing to cover that one, turned out to be a big win for us. So overall, a very solid weekend for the books.
All right. And John, boxing took over T-Mobile this past weekend in Vegas. After 36 rounds together, the trilogy, I guess, has come to a close. Canelo Alvarez scores another close unanimous decision win over Triple G. Did you take some big bets this weekend on that fight? And tell us how the book did overall.
It's a lot of handle on that fight. I think it was probably our best volume fight of the year in boxing. Biggest bet we took, one guy came in on Saturday morning. He bet $200,000 to win $40,000 on Canelo. But there was plenty of support for Triple G in the market as well. So there was a lot of money both ways. Really wasn't a huge decision because we had so much money on both sides. Did lose a little bit. Canelo going to decision. There was some sharp money on the under. Didn't get there. Looked like Canelo kind of took his foot off the gas in that fight to me.
I agree.
I didn't understand the people saying Canelo won 11 or 12 rounds either. That wasn't true. Canelo clearly was losing at the end of that fight. It was almost like he was trying to string him along to maybe milk it for the money for a fourth fight. I don't think we need to see that again, frankly. But
I'm tapping.
Canelo was so dominant early in that fight. Didn't seem like he was going to get him out of there, but he didn't. I'll remember that trilogy this way, Ron. Golovkin won the first fight. Golovkin won that first fight. The second fight was extremely close. Canelo got the nod there, and then obviously Canelo won the third fight. So a very fair trilogy. I don't think Canelo 2-0-1 is a fair final record for that trilogy, but I am ready to move on to Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford in November.
Yeah. I love that. It's time to get some fresh blood, and I agree. Great, looking back, it'll be a fun trilogy, but I think it's time to move on as well. And speaking of move on, 6 teams remain unbeaten in the NFL as we gear up for week number 3. Guys, let's go to it. Big game this week. The Buffalo Bills traveling down to South Florida to take on maybe for some the surprising Miami Dolphins after back-to-back just beatdowns of the Rams and Titans. The Super Bowl favorite, the Buffalo Bills, traveled to South Florida for this matchup with the undefeated Miami Dolphins, who, I'm still spinning after that crazy comeback they pulled off in Baltimore after being down 35-14. The 2-0 Dolphins get another tough task in this very pivotal AFC East matchup. Just check the odds. Buffalo guys up to -6 right now. The over under 52.5. Jay, we'll go to you first. Give us some details on this one.
Well, the Bills are probably the most popular team on the board these days, and that's not surprising. But just to give you a temperature of what happened the last couple of days, we had the Bills -4 heading into that game against the Titans. And after that performance, dominating performance, once again, this thing got up to 5.5, and now we're at 6. It actually got up to 6.5 earlier today, and now we're back to 6. But a lot of tickets and teams like right now, you're talking about Buffalo, Kansas City, and Philadelphia after their win. These are going to be the 3 most popular teams heading into next weekend. But high volume game, probably the game of the week.
Yeah, absolutely. John, your thoughts? Some
Mhm.
think the Dolphins, being 2-0, a little surprised, but they were getting some money on them as a surprise team in the AFC. Give us your thoughts on this matchup.
Buffalo's the best team in the NFL, and they're showing it right now. I mean, not only do they have two big blowout wins, they did it against the team that won the Super Bowl last year. And people forget this. Tennessee was the 1 seed in the AFC last year. I mean, it's not like they just played two patsies and got to 2-0. I mean, they're just crushing the best teams in the NFL right now. Buffalo's got some guys out too that they're going to be getting back shortly. So the Bills are head and
Yikes.
shoulders above the league, and it's built into this line because Miami's one of the best teams in the AFC too, and they're getting 6 points at home. And that's because we know everyone is going to bet on Buffalo. Jay's right. They're the most popular team in the league right now. They're the best team in the league right now. And Allen's the best player in the league right now. So I think this is clearly the game of the week. I don't know why it's at 10 a.m. I think it's. I'm looking forward to seeing this game. This is Miami's a very interesting team, and Buffalo is the Super Bowl favorites. So great matchup in the morning.
Between a 10 a.m. game and the double header that really wasn't a double header, we need to do something with the NFL scheduling department. But this is a great game. Both teams come in 2-0 against the spread. Miami 6-1 against the spread in their last 7 home games, but Buffalo has beaten the Dolphins 7 straight times. All right, 2 teams, guys, that were getting a lot of love early on, maybe possibly being AFC champions, especially the team in your town are now 0-2, and both of them dire need of a win when the Las Vegas Raiders travel to Music City to take on the Tennessee Titans. All right, Vegas is another one of those teams where talking, there was the AFC North where so many teams collapsed, but suddenly, somehow, Kyler Murray led the Cardinals to that improbable overtime comeback. If you took the under in that game, I'm sorry. That was brutal. As the Cardinals come back, they get the win. Tennessee, John just mentioned, gets destroyed in Buffalo on the road. Offense looking terrible, and they need to get Derrick Henry rolling if they're going to compete at all this season. Just checking out the odds coming in now, guys. We look at this game, and Vegas coming out. They are now a 2-point favorite on the road. The over/under sitting at 45.5. Give us your thoughts on this one, Jay.
Well, we opened this one 2 weeks ago at Pick'em, which I thought was the right line. And then going into Monday night, we had Raiders a 1-point favorite. And then after that dismantling job by the Bills, it jumped up to 2.5, and now we're settling in at 2. I think it's a little too much. I really think that this should go back to a Pick'em, mainly because I'm not sold on what the Raiders, and I'm not sure how they're going to react to that game from last weekend. I mean, just a total collapse in the second half. It wasn't just about
Brutal.
the last 2 minutes or overtime. It was a collapse in the second half where they just didn't do anything. I don't see how Devontae Adams could only have 2 catches in that game. It's mind-boggling after putting up some of the biggest numbers that we've seen for a receiver week 1. I mean, 12 catches. I don't know what he had, 190 yards or something like that. It was amazing performance, but for them to be a 2-point favorite at Tennessee, in my eyes, that's just a little too much.
Yeah, I agree. I have a hard time on thinking the Raiders should be a favorite on the road anywhere right now, but they go into Tennessee. Both teams need a win. Let's keep it moving, fellas, and battle the Bays and 2 all-time greats when Aaron Rodgers leads his 1-1 Packers to South Florida to take on Tom Brady and the undefeated Tampa Bay Bucks. Brady got his first win as a Buck against the Saints last week, and the Pack got their first victory of the season when they beat the Bears. Kind of interesting here as you look at the current line coming in from SuperBook.com. Of course, the Bucks are 1.5-point favorites in this one. The over/under is set at 42. And I think there's going to be, the wide receivers are kind of in the spotlight as we go into this one. Of course, Mike Evans is out. He's serving the 1-game suspension for basically blowing up Marshawn Lattimore on a late hit. And then Julio Jones and Chris Godwin are both nursing injuries. So, John, how will those injuries play a movement in the line? Will we see some movement as we get ready for Green Bay and Tampa?
Well, Tampa needs somebody to throw the ball to. Tampa's offense hasn't played well at all through the first two games. I mean, they were kind of carried by the officials down the field for that touchdown that put them ahead against New Orleans. Didn't score much week one against Dallas. Very little offensively for the Bucs so far. And if all those receivers are out, Brady's already dealing with a bunch of offensive line injuries. I think that would really tilt this game in favor of Green Bay. Did see one sharp bet I can report, Ron. The guy went over 41, and we're at over 42. We have total now 42, I should say. So I think maybe that bet is a reaction to us going a little bit too low with this total. I mean, I know there's some banged up guys, and Tampa Bay's offense has struggled, but the thought there is we might have gone a little too low. 41 is pretty low when you're talking about two of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play the game. But both these teams are very good defensively. Everything about these two teams is about the quarterbacks, and deservedly so. We're talking about Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady. But really, both these teams relying on their defense more than anything for the first 2 weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. Great point, John. And I saw a stat crazy. I think this is the first time in NFL history that two quarterbacks that have won the MVP 3 times will be matched up. So, yeah, you would think there might be some fireworks in here, but, the unders have come in big this year. The Bucs 2-0 against the spread coming in. Green Bay 1-1. But the Pack have lost 4 in a row against the spread on the road. All right, let's keep it rolling. And wow, this game, guys, where do we begin? After penalties, just sloppy play, questionable coaching decisions by rookie head coach Nathaniel Hackett, can the 1-1 Denver Broncos get things right when they host the 1-1 Jimmy Garoppolo-led San Francisco 49ers on Sunday Night Football? Broncos struggled to get by the Texans at home, and the 49ers really beat down their division rival Seattle last week. Crazy movement in this one. Denver opened up as a 2.5-point favorite at home, but we've seen a massive swing. Broncos now getting a 1.5 at home. Jay, I mean, what in the wide world of sports is going on with this line?
Well, there's reality hurts in Denver right now, and they're just not a very good team, especially offensively. They seem to be very unorganized. They're not disciplined. I mean, I don't know how you could have 25 penalties in 2 games. Brutal. That's just unheard of. So, everybody says, well, give them some time and, they're going to be on the same page. Well, I don't think it's going to happen this week, because I think 49ers with Jimmy is one, it's a better club with Jimmy at the controls, and 2, I just think the 49ers are a very solid team, and with Garoppolo back there, I would make them one of the favorites to come out of the NFC. Right now I would think it would be the Eagles, but 49ers are right up there in my top 3 coming out of the NFC with Garoppolo and running the controls. As far as the Denver side, is just very frustrating to be a Bronco fan. That first game was very frustrating throughout the entire game against Seattle, and then you play one of the worst teams, in fact, maybe the worst team, and you can't get it done at home. I mean, they're very fortunate that they won that game, and now you're going to go against a very physical team in San Francisco. I can understand why the line changed. I know the Broncos have a couple of injuries as well. I mean, you're looking at controlling Williams and Sutton. All right. I think the 49ers going to be able to do that. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see this thing go up a little more. Not to 3, but maybe 2.5.
Interesting. And John, I want to get your take. Jabe just mentioned it. I mean, Pat Surtain and Jerry Jeudy listed day to day. They might not play. And the 49ers might get George Kittle back too. That would be huge, because Denver hasn't learned to cover a linebacker in about 10 years. So you give us your thoughts on the Sunday night matchup.
Well, I think the 49ers actually played the worst team in the league last Sunday, Jay. I think Seattle is going to prove to be the worst
Denver
team.
lost to.
Yes.
Yeah, well, because
exactly,
they fumbled,
Ron.
because
I mean,
they fumbled the
that's
ball at the
exactly
1 yard line. They fumbled the ball at the 1 yard line twice in the same game. I just like the Denver Broncos because they always seem to hire the funniest coach in the league. First they gave us Vance Joseph, then they gave us McFangio, and now clearly the torch has been passed to Nathaniel Hackett. How this guy gets to be an NFL head coach, I have no idea, but it's hilarious for those of us at home that aren't Broncos fans. I have to agree with Jay. I mean, it's a tough matchup for the Broncos, especially if Kittle is back, because Kyle Shanahan is on that other sideline.
Well,
and you've got against Hackett.
I'm sorry, John, but it was just you made a point there. And then when they were talking about, they were showing the Packers on Sunday night against the Bears, and they were talking about Hackett's relationship with Rodgers and company, and it almost sounded like he didn't really have to do anything. It was like, oh, he played checkers, with Aaron.
Man.
Oh, they played cornhole together.
Almost sounded like well, yeah, of course he didn't have to. It's just like when Peyton Manning was the quarterback for the Broncos, he got both of his offensive coordinators head coaching jobs, Mike McCoy and then Adam Gase. I mean, anybody could have been anyone could have been the offensive coordinator of the Broncos when they had Peyton Manning getting up to the line, he just got up to the line, looked at the defense and said, here's the play I'm running.
Well, this isn't the first time for offensive coordinator to come out of Green Bay and fail. I mean, what was that guy's name that went to Miami? He was bald and he went down there, had all the success in Green Bay. Yeah. And just totally just fumbled down in Miami. So this isn't the first time. So it's pretty concerning after 2 games.
You should always be worried when you hire as your head coach the offensive coordinator of a team with an exceptionally great quarterback.
No doubt.
We just don't know. We just don't know. I mean, and no offense to Eric Bieniemy with Patrick Mahomes or whoever the offensive coordinator is for Buffalo. It looks like Dable's doing a good job. Yes, but with they've got Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes. Anybody could be the coordinator of these guys. Yeah. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I'm sure Hackett will do better. But admit,
they can't do worse.
It's been funny the first 2 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, and they cannot do worse. They're playing like a team that did not have a preseason, and pretty much they did not have a preseason. Quickly, before we move on, how does Jimmy G affect starting now, taking over for Trey Lance? Did it affect some 49er futures?
Not really. We talked to Ed about that on Sunday, and he thought Ed Salmons is one of our top NFL, if not our top, NFL oddsmaker, and he thought the power rating was about the same from Trey Lance to Jimmy. And Garoppolo, in my eyes, though, I disagreed. Okay, I thought the 49ers were a better team with Garoppolo back there, a healthy one, and I think he's going to prove that, as I mentioned earlier.
They don't ask the quarterback to do much. Whether it's Lance or Garoppolo, they don't ask their quarterback to do a whole lot. I think Jay's probably right. I think that they've got a much higher ceiling if Lance is the guy they think he is. But for the most part, week to week, I would say, what's the difference?
Probably.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on, fellas. The Monday night game, we wrap up week number 3 with an NFL showdown in the Big Apple. When the surprising New York Football Giants put their spotless 2-0 record on the line at home, welcome in the Dallas Cowboys, who got a massive win last week when quarterback Cooper Rush led the Cowboys to a big upset over the now 0-2 Cincinnati Bengals. Current odds from SuperBook.com: Giants a 2.5 point favorite in this one, over under sitting at 39.5. John, we'll go to you on this one. What are your thoughts about the Monday night showdown?
Well, first of all, it was 2.5. We've now moved down to Giants -1 against Dallas. So I guess the market giving some respect to the Cowboys' performance on Sunday, beating the Bengals. The Giants, 2 wins or 2-0, like you mentioned, but both those games could have easily gone the other way. I mean, this team could just as easily be 0-2. I don't know how much respect Danny Dimes gets in the betting markets. This is a bit of a toss-up game here. There's going to be a lot of Cowboy fans at this game in New Jersey. So toss-up game. very light action, not a lot to report, very low total. Looks like a very boring game, Jay. Doesn't look like a game that's going to really move the needle too much. Giants 1-point favorite, total of 39. No sharp action to report yet. This is what I expect from Monday Night Football. I'm always surprised when Monday night is a great game now. Usually the Sunday game is the big game. This looks like your typical Monday so-so game.
Well, this matchup wouldn't be a late Monday Night Football game. So when they have like some of these bigger market teams that really are not great teams, they put them on these national televised games early in the season. So it's not too bad, right? They don't want to put the Giants on Monday Night Football in about 9 weeks when they're 2-7. But
right,
it's I like Cooper Rush. I'm not saying I think he's an all-star or all-pro or anything like that. But I think that that win over the Bengals is going to propel this team in the right direction. I think they're coming into this with a lot of confidence there, a lot of mojo. The Giants, I mean, their 2 wins. It's going to take a lot more than these 2 wins for me to believe in the New York Giants. It's just not happening. I think I wouldn't be surprised to see this thing go 1 the other side by the time we get to kickoff.
Yeah, Giants have had a nice opening schedule. They're in for a reality check coming up. Should be a great week, though, of football. We're excited for both the college and the pro side. But let's talk some big money and some big wagers. John, we'll come over to you. This weekend, did we see some big tickets come in, and who came out on top?
You're talking about for this coming weekend or for last weekend?
Last weekend. Taking a look back. How did we do?
Fine. There are some big bets. We were really sweating the Old Dominion UVA game. We had a guy bet 50,000 on Old Dominion, and we normally wouldn't watch a game like that. I remember one that we were watching. I was watching as I was falling asleep. We gave a guy under or over 71 in the USC Fresno game for 40,000.
Wow.
And then you've got your normal big bets on the NFL. I mentioned the 200,000 we had on Canelo Alvarez. Just pretty typical weekend. Good volume, some big bets. This weekend, it's still early, but we did have one bet that caught my eye. Was a guy bet 20,000 on North Carolina -1.5 against Notre Dame. That game this Saturday in Chapel Hill. Notre Dame, at some point, will get their act together. No, I mean I would hope so, for Marcus Freeman's sake. They've been a disaster so far, so we'll see. That's a very interesting game. North Carolina's quarterback looks really, really good, Drake May, so we'll see.
All right, great stuff. We'll keep an eye on some of the big bets coming in on this weekend, and make sure you get to superbook.com before kickoff. Sign up today, download the app, and make sure you get in the game. Superbook is offering some great sign-up bonuses and odds boosts right now. And for the latest wagering news, original content, special promotions, and bonuses, keep an eye on us on social media. We are at SuperBook Sports. All right. And Jay, the season long, the Super Contest rolls on. Give us an update on what went down last weekend with the Super Contest.
Well, we got 2 players left undefeated in the Super Contest. 2 of them at 10-0. We have 28 at 9-1. So a lot of people, and I don't even know. I didn't even want to count how many people we have at 8-2, so I skipped that one. But 2 at 10-0, 28 9-1. The gold, very similar. You got 1 person in the gold, and this is winner take all. Winner gets 400,000 here. Remember, there's one leader at 9-1. Got 7 people at 8-2. So it's they're off to a good start. A lot of good records there. Scanning over all the the contestants, you got a lot of good records. So, and it's not too late to get into the reboot. Let me throw that in there, because reboot is a second half contest. Remember, that's a second half contest, and entry deadline for that is November 12th at 3 p.m.
All right, so still time. 10-0 in 2 weeks in what's going on in the NFL right now. That's insane to me. That's so impressive.
Yeah, well, there's somebody on the show that's 9-1 in another contest, and it's not me.
And it's
job.
for
Very
sure
impressive,
not
Ron.
me.
I thought it was Ron. Yeah.
I'm going
Yeah.
out on top. I'm going out on top. I'm just going
Yeah.
to take my 9-0 record and see you soon. Love it, guys. Great stuff. And as you said, still some in-season payouts to go and some action coming up. Let's now, guys, let's go back to school, talk some college football. We'll blow through some big games coming up this weekend on the docket. We'll go quickly. Number 5, Clemson. Traveling to Wake Forest, who's ranked number 21 right now. Clemson is a 7-point favorite. The total is sitting at 55.5. A lot of points on this one. John, give us your thoughts on this matchup.
Did see a really sharp player take 7.5. Took Wake plus the points. That's what knocked us down to 7. I still don't know what to make of Clemson this season. I still think Clemson would be better off if they went to the backup quarterback. We'll see what happens there, but sharp money on Wake early in this game, or early in this week, I should say.
Okay, very good. The action rolls on. We look ahead, and number 20, Florida, traveling to, wow, I was shocked that they've moved up this high right now. Number 11, Tennessee. The line in this one right now, according to SuperBook, is Tennessee minus 10.5. The over-under, wow, 62.5. They're expecting a offensive shootout. But Jay, we've seen this line really blow up here in the past few days. Give us the details.
Yeah, we did open this thing at 10.5, and it actually got to 11 on Monday, and then we took some money back on Florida at plus 11. So I think it's going to be pretty well balanced. Even this isn't a great schedule this weekend in college football, but this probably is the marquee game of the weekend, as you got 2 top 20 teams going at it, 2 SEC. I'd like to see some changes in the SEC and some new blood there. So I'm glad it's, Florida and Tennessee. I get tired of some of the others, but interesting to see the Volunteers this big a favorite. Okay. They don't normally see themselves, a 10.5, 11-point favorite over Florida. But that's the power ranking that we have these days. So good for them. Since we're in Tennessee, I wouldn't mind seeing them, make a nice run.
Well, I'm not so sure about that, Jay, because we're going to be doing a lot of odds boosts on the Vols at SuperBook.com this weekend in Tennessee.
Oh, that's right.
We got Chris the Bear Felica and the College Game Day crew are going to be out there.
Yes.
So the last thing I'd want to see is Tennessee doing well and all those SuperBook Tennessee customers winning. That's definitely not at all what I want. So
there's Mr. Brightside.
I'll be rooting for the Florida Gators, of course, and all those people in Tennessee lose.
Tennessee could win, but not cover. Then we'd be okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we'll be fine there.
And great plug, John. Man, you just keep it rolling. I mean, things are happening in Tennessee with SuperBook, so it's going to be a massive week, and get down there if you have the chance. A couple more games, guys, quickly. Keep it in the SEC. Number 10, Arkansas at number 23, Texas A&M. SuperBook odds, A&M -2 right now. Over under 48.5. John, you're up. Give us some details and your thoughts on this game.
See some sharp money on over 48. Games up to 48.5. That game's in Arlington, neutral field. A&M's played a pretty tough schedule so far. They played App State. They had the big game last week against Miami. Now they got to play Arkansas. Arkansas needs a win coming off last week. Disaster situation for the Razorbacks. So A&M's really they played some pretty tough games, and they're in the SEC West, so they got all their really tough games later in the season
coming up.
Tough schedule for Jimbo Fisher and the boys there.
And we'll wrap it up with the Pac-12 after dark, as always. Number 7, USC, coming in as a 6.5-point favorite at Oregon State. That game, 9:30 Eastern. The point total, I thought 62.5 was a lot. 71 in this game. 71 points, Jay. I mean, you don't see that much. Talk about this matchup.
Yeah, this is going to be probably a big game for us, especially for the total. Looks like there's plenty of sharp money on the over. We opened at 69. I know that some others opened up lower than that, but now I'm seeing 71.5s out there at some pretty, sharp places. So I expect it to go up even higher, but and that's all sharp money. The public really hasn't gotten a hold of this yet and probably won't until Saturday. So the money that we're seeing right now is some educated play. I will update on the line. It has dropped down a half now, Ron. We were at 6.5 when we started the show. It's 6 now, and we're seeing a number of 6s across the board. So it's dropping down at this point.
Well, fantastic. Great update. And that's why you want to follow us on social media at SuperBook Sports for the latest movement. And as the injury updates come in, you'll definitely want to keep an eye on the SuperBook app. Sorry, Rig, we're out of time for that big KU Duke matchup. I know your Jayhawks just keep rolling. We'll see what we can do once they reach, 8-0 and get that in there. But guys, a great sports weekend. Baseball is wrapping up, college football in full swing, and time to see which teams are maybe for real in the NFL. Final thoughts, Jay, why don't you take us out?
We're moving right along, not only in Nevada, but in our other jurisdictions. Visit us up in Blackhawk at the Lodge. Those in Colorado, it's a really great place to watch all the games. But our other jurisdictions really picking up a lot of steam. Arizona, Tennessee, and of course, New Jersey's always there. But a lot of momentum that we have in Tennessee and Arizona. So, and then we are opening up Iowa here shortly as well. So SuperBook keeps crawling along, and we hope to be in maybe as many as an additional 5 or 6 states by the end of next year.
Here we come. John, your final thoughts before we kick off the big weekend and the NFL on Thursday night.
Yeah, the big Thursday night game between Pittsburgh and Cleveland, that one. No, it should be a good weekend.
It's going to be a grind.
The college card this week is not great, but October is going to be filled with some great college football games. So download the SuperBook app right away. We're coming to Iowa soon. Tennessee and Arizona are taking off. We don't talk about Arizona enough on this show. I think we should circle the wagons, do some Arizona talk next week because SuperBook in Arizona is doing well, and I'm very excited to see it.
Absolutely. When the UFC was down there, huge attendance there. They're big fans. Yeah, some things are going on with their college worlds, but the Cardinals got a big win. So, yeah, absolutely. Again, you guys, you don't need me. You guys are all over this promoting SuperBook and get to the app, folks. You're going to see it's one of the easiest apps to see. Download. You probably have other sports betting apps as well. Check out SuperBook because they do have the best odds. All right, guys. Thanks again. Great job as usual. We're going to wrap it up for my partners, Jay Kornegay and John Murray. The guys in the desert. I'm Ron Kruk. Enjoy the games this weekend.